Hey, it's Ayla. You're listening to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast, and today marks another episode in our fantastic Female Friday series of podcasts where I'm interviewing other female entrepreneurs on their business, on their point of view for running their business, mistakes they see their clients make, mistakes they're making themselves. I had a conversation with Megan Nolan, who lives in Hawaii, and that makes me very jealous, so that's what I'm going to lead with. Megan helps highly sensitive, ambitious women over 40 overcome high functioning anxiety holistically so that they can excel in all areas of their lives without losing themselves in the process. She has over 20 years of experience as a personal trainer and yoga instructor, and she empowers women to thrive beyond anxiety using proven mind body tools. And the result is that they are living a life of impact, freedom, and joy that they actually get to enjoy. She is a best selling solo author, she's a podcast host, and actively challenging the conversation about mental health in women. And she also accidentally adopted a Hawaiian rooster named Chirpy, who taught her to love morning routines, since roosters are the best at those. Enjoy the episode and enjoy the wonderful Megan Nolan. Hi, I'm Ayla, and for over a decade I've been dedicated to helping entrepreneurs thrive. Welcome to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. Here we focus on personal growth so your business can grow alongside you. Discover how to optimize your business, elevate your mindset, and truly feel and act like a CEO. This is more than just business, it's about transforming your entire entrepreneurial journey. Join me on this path to unlock your fullest potential. Megan, welcome to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. I'm so happy to have you here because you have a niche that speaks to my heart, and you live in Hawaii. So I'm also very jealous of you. Will you tell us a bit about yourself, your business, and some way I like to ask this totally stolen from someone else. What impact are you making on the world?
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so since you did mention that I live in Hawaii, I don't know if you can hear any strange squawking sounds. There are chickens and roosters that live in the backyard. So if you happen to pick anything of that up, that's what it is. Everyone's fine, but I just like to tell people because in case you can hear it. So thank you so much for having me. It's really lovely to be here. And so, yes, I am leading a movement of women who care so much about how they feel that they make time for themselves every day, because I believe that we are change makers, we are visionaries, and we deserve to be seen and celebrated for all that we are. And that includes some of the stuff that we maybe don't love as much as the other beautiful, bright, brilliant stuff. And that for me is in the realm of mental health challenges. So anxiety, depression, overworking, perfectionism, all the whole shebang bang. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. And I myself am challenged with that. And so the work that I do helps people to have the tools that we need to shift our inner state, to come back to our center, to ground ourselves so that we can go into the day that way. And in moments when we get knocked off center, we can come back to that, because it is really a dance, right? It's a balance and it's a practice like anything else. And so that's me. And I'd say that that's the impact I'm making on the world, because I want to change the conversation around mental health, because there's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of shame, and especially in women and many of the people I support, entrepreneurs as well. Like, it's a huge issue globally, and especially in the entrepreneur community. 72% of people deal with one of the challenges of like ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, bipolar. So it's a real issue. And so I would say that that's my true heart's passion, my purpose, and the impact that I'm making.
It's beautiful. 72%, that's so high.
It's
It's,
significant. And that was
yeah.
actually from research done before the pandemic. And then,
Ooh, gotta be worse now.
and it's probably higher now. And then in America right now, it's probably even higher. And so, it's like, it's a real thing. And I would say that everyone, we all have mental health. Therefore, we all have mental health challenges, right? And it's like, I think it's so important to have these conversations open-hearted, like, really coming together and acknowledging this is real for me. It's how it happens and how to navigate that. And that, a big part of that is taking away the stigma and the shame. And it's really that for me is like what really lands in my heart as my deepest why.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love that you're emphasizing taking away the shame and the stigma around it, because I feel that it used to be like 20 years ago when I first got into my first therapy, which changed my life. It was still a bit of a hush hush, like, oh, don't tell anyone you're seeing a psychologist because people will think you're crazy. And I feel that over time that has gotten better. Like everybody by now knows, like seeing a psychologist, going into therapy will improve your life significantly. But it's in my area, it's still, you have to see a psychologist. You have to see someone who has a bunch of diplomas on their walls and they can help you. So I love that you're really putting it sort of back to ourselves, back to our own centers to find it in ourselves.
Thank you. Yeah, and I agree. It's that, for so long it was kind of on the therapist's couch or talked about in the shadows because we didn't want to be judged as crazy. But let's be real, we're all a little crazy or a lot crazy. And so it's like, why not just embrace it? And why not recognize people love the fact that they go to a personal trainer. They want to tell everybody. Like my clients love telling their people they see me as a trainer, and it's just the view that we have on it. But it's really like, even as a trainer, I can't do your work for you, right? And as somebody who helps with anxiety, I can help you pick up on the cues, but I can't make you take the power pause. And so it's like, it's really about self agency, and it's about self compassion and self awareness, and that's where we're like really getting into it.
Absolutely. Yes. For me, self awareness is such an important part of it. That's what I see with my clients as well. Most of them don't have a clue how they speak to themselves all day long, how they're sort of pushing themselves down, and then adding the lack of self compassion. And yeah, like you can feel like you're putting in the work, but if you're not self aware of all that, it's no use at all.
Absolutely. You're so right. And it's, because those, I call it the chatter channel, is just constantly chattering away in our head. And that's the channel that we're on most of the time. And our mind wants to keep us there because that's our zone of familiarity and safety. And that's where we tend to get active in the mind and trigger stress and therefore experience anxiety and everything that we'll get into. But it's learning to be self aware and witness the thoughts, right? Because if we can observe and listen to the thoughts, and like when I heard the statement, you are the creator of your thoughts, I was like, my mind is blown, because what do you mean? Like, it's just been happening this whole time, just chattering away like monkeys, right? And so when we become aware of that inner dialogue, and we recognize that our mind is just doing its best, but its tactics are typically kind of nasty. And so it's like, it's really like, how can we cultivate that self-awareness, the self-compassion, and then use the tools to come into your body, come into the present moment, and tune into the wisdom of the heart, and tune into wisdom of self and the higher soul and whatever you want to call it. But that's really the journey, right? And I love that you support your clients with that too, because we all need the help. We all need.
So, you know what? I could help someone streamline their business all day long, but if they don't have their mindset in the right place, it's not going to do a thing. So, yeah. What's your
No.
background, Megan?
My background?
Yeah.
Do you like my life or behind me?
Oh,
Sorry. I'm
no,
so like analytical, logical, or
both,
crazy.
both. No, because your physical background's beautiful, but I was thinking about your life's background. How did you get where you are today?
Okay, thank you. Yes, great question. Sorry. I don't know. Sometimes my brain is rather unpredictable with what comes out. Yeah, so I have always loved movement and exercise. I know that might sound crazy to people, but I've always loved that. And so it's always been foundational for me as far as how I approach life, how I take care of my body, how I take care of my mind. And as I mentioned, I'm in that 72%. I've had seasons of depression, seasons of anxiety, and very likely probably some sort of ADHD situation. I don't know. But it's been a journey really of looking at how I can serve people using these tools, right? And we all know, especially as entrepreneurs, it's this constant journey of evolution and vision, and coming back to the truth of who we are, and coming back to the impact, which she so beautifully led with. I love that. And recognizing that these tools, yes, they can help everybody. Yes, everyone has mindset, but how can I get more and more and more specific? I've done workplace wellness, like I've taught yoga inside all the power plants here on Maui and like in the mayor's
Oh,
conference
wow.
room. Yeah, really interesting stuff, right? And that's beautiful. And I love serving my community. But my heart, as I mentioned, is really aligned with serving other entrepreneurs because of the prevalence of these challenges, and because of the that core need for us all to be thriving and seen and celebrated for who we are. And so that's been my journey as a personal trainer, as a yoga instructor. And so I really weave all of that together, and really helping people to create a self-care strategy essentially that really supports their stress and anxiety levels, because life is stressful, business ownership is stressful. And if your patterns, your protective patterns of the mind, which we spoke to earlier, are ones that are almost celebrated in entrepreneurship, like pushing yourself and working really hard, being attentive to detail, perfectionist, overthinking yourself, being analytical, like all of these things that are kind of a double-edged sword, right? We need them, but we want to use them from that place of intentionality. They're helpful, but they can also be our demise. And so it's where we use them from, right? And it's, are we using them from that place of intention and wisdom and heart and guidance? Or are we using them from the place of the mind that's telling you more, better, faster, get to the next mountain, you got to scale, like all of that stuff that is innately stressful? And so for me, it's been a journey for, like, I can help you boost your booty and do all that stuff, which is great. And I can definitely still help with that. And I help with that still. But for me, the journey has been more about the internal shifts, right? Which is essentially mindset, like you said, more about the internal shifts and the energetics and the nervous system regulation, because our thoughts are very impactful, but our thoughts are influenced by our energetic state, which is the state of our nervous system. And if our nervous system is in a dysregulated state, i.e., stress, which is very common, or like overwhelm or shutdown, then that affects our thoughts, which impact our actions, which impact our results, and all of that circle that we all know so well. But it really comes back to the being. You, who are you being in each moment? What state are you being in? And so that's where the ancient tools of yoga are so powerful, and exercise, but also compounded, maybe not compounded, supported by neuroscience and quantum reality and all of those beautiful practices that are literally the same thing, but just semantics. No, not
Yeah.
semantics, whatever the word is for the words.
I get what you
Semantics.
mean.
There we
Semantics. Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I get it. I've been diving into a lot of Joe Dispenza lately, so I'm like all here for it. And I really needed the reminder. I'm totally like your future client because my nervous system is a mess. Absolutely has been for the past 5 years since I managed to sort of track it back to a medical emergency during my first pregnancy. It was like halfway through, and I had to get surgery with my baby in my belly. So instead of normally they give you like the general anesthetic, and they gave me, it's basically an epidural, I think, but not to give birth, but to sort of numb everything. And it was so scary. And I was scared for myself, but I was scared for her. And afterwards, I just continued on living. But when she was born, there were like massive complications. I had to go back into surgery after her birth 2 times. And strangely enough, afterwards, I got these like anger issues. I would get like rage attacks whenever something didn't go my way. Like literally when I was cleaning her diaper and she used her feet too much, and I would project rage onto the baby. So I went to see a therapist, and she was like, "Oh, you're your mom. You're just tired." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm getting mad. I'm just tired. That's it." And then here we are. Like it started last year, 4 years later. I realized that maybe I hadn't gotten over it, and I didn't have my nervous system under control. And then I sort of found my spiritual path and realized the things I was thinking all day long. And it's just, it's as we say, the moment your nervous system is out of whack, everything gets out of whack. So that's really awesome that you're focusing on that for your client.
Thank you. I love Dr. Joe too. And that's the thing is that we all go through these experiences, and that sounds like a very intense one, especially to be awake through that whole thing. And
Yes.
so, the definition of trauma is too much, too fast, too soon. And there's little t, and then there's very big T. And that's a personal decision as to where it falls or if it even falls on that scale. But when there's an incident, is that we have an incompletion of the cycle. And because you were literally frozen, you were not able to literally express your emotions and allow it to move out of your body. And so emotions, as you well know, because Dr. Joe loves this, is our energy in motion, but they get trapped. And if we don't give them an expression, then they start to just stay in our body and they kind of get a little bit more wound up and then eventually they get activated and then they explode, however. So it's kind of like when the water in the pot, when you're boiling water, say to make pasta or something, you're boiling water and you forget about it and you're like, da, 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 you're online on Canva or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, what's that sound? What's that smell? And then you go over there and you realize that the pot has completely boiled over and there's a massive mess on the thing on the stove. However, if before that happened, you could shift the lid over a little bit and let some of the steam out, there wouldn't be the big explosion, right? And so it's how can we allow this stress?
I love this analogy. It's so visual.
Thank you. Yes, yes. It's all I love analogies. I think they're really helpful. And it's literally, it's like, if anybody's lost, you're the pot and you're trying to take the lid off so that you don't boil over.
Yeah. Makes sense when you
Right. And
say
we
it
want
like
to
that.
diffuse that in a really safe way and give your body the chance because your body is a storehouse for every experience you've ever been through. Right. So if you had a failed launch or somebody said something nasty to you in grade 3 and you never did anything about it, either of those things, then it's just in your body, like, and you wait till something else happens where we get activated back into that pattern, right? And so it's all about like full circle. It's all about awareness. And luckily you can update your operating system at any given point through the beautiful work that you do, through the mindset work, through the body work that I do. Like there's a lot of ways to begin to shift that because we don't have to be determining our future based on who we were in the past. You are a conscious being. You have awareness. You get to choose, which is really empowering, maybe also a little daunting sometimes, right? And so it's just really learning to recognize and be compassionate rather than being critical. It's being compassionate for that part of us that shows up and maybe didn't get to fully process, right? And so there's these parts that we get to like bring back into who we are and to really be witnessed and celebrated for the whole of who we are.
It's beautiful view.
Mm.
Yeah. Is it what we're talking about now? Is this a mistake that your clients make, or what is the mistake that you most often see them make when they get into your space?
Constantly running themselves throughout the day, literally from the moment they wake up till the end of the day, just jamming their day full and not having pauses to be present with themselves, right? And just running on this autopilot because that's the efficiency of the mind is it runs on these patterns, these behaviors, these, the body and the brain and nervous system are they're survival mechanisms, right? And so they adapt to what we do frequently and it just repeats and hardwires that. Sometimes helpful, right? Like digesting your food, that's helpful that it knows how to do that quietly without you asking about it. But also like working inside your business or in your family. And if it's a pattern that's not amazing and supportive, then that might be an issue, right? And so that's the common mistake that I see is that people are powering through their day because they're so passionate about what they do. They love what they do. They love showing up. Again, they might be a little perfectionist, so they want it to be just so, and so really running on that and then telling themselves all that other stuff, all that the energy work, the internal work, the body work, the whatever, everything that you do, that I do, they'll get to it later. Let's be real, later never exists. We only have now,
Nope.
right? And I'm not saying you should stop what you're doing and bust out some squats and do the yogas. If you want to, go ahead. But it's more about can we be intentional each day in how we show up because we tend to say we're going to do it and we don't necessarily ever get to it. So that's the biggest mistake that I see, is people deprioritizing themselves in favor of their dreams and their vision. And that's where I come in with balancing that so it's more sustainable, right? It's more holistic because you're the driving force, right? And so take care of you, fuel yourself energetically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, so that you can fuel your dreams and your vision and your goals and your relationships and all the things.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I feel totally called out because this you're describing me right now. I have this like big thing that I want to do my meditations after lunch, and that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to do my push-up training. I have a goal. I'm going to learn how to push up. And then suddenly it's 5 in the afternoon. I have to go grab the kids from school. And I was like, zero meditation minutes and zero push-up training. Like nothing is happening. This isn't great. So could you share insights into sort of developing a wellness plan that would support like the entrepreneur in their business goals, but also in their personal life or family life?
For sure. And it's all love. I'm not calling you out. I don't mean to. That's
I
great. It
know.
means I know my ideal client. Then, yeah, gold star for me. I appreciate you sharing that it's resonating with you, because it's always a work in process, and when you talk about
Yeah,
stuff like this, you're like, am I making sense? Hopefully. So,
you do.
thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so it really depends on where someone's starting from, because if we're starting from the basics and the like ground zero foundation, let's be realistic. Let's be realistic about what we can stick to, because
Yeah.
consistency, we hear this from every coach. It doesn't matter what genre or niche you're in. Like if you're talking about social media, you're talking
Nope.
about your internal health, it's more about the frequency that you're doing it at. And so, what is realistic for you and what is doable based on your schedule? And so,
Hmm.
I love what I call power pauses. And so, power pauses are little mindful moments with yourself, especially for mamas and people that are taking care of other beings, maybe parents, pets, whatever.
Hmm.
Let's be real, we're all busy. And so, how can we take these little timeouts, essentially? They're like adult timeouts, adult playtime, adult recess time, so that you can drip them throughout your day so that you don't get to the end of the day and you're like, like you're all wound up, all aggro, like screaming at everybody. You haven't eaten except for like 3 almonds and a latte. And you're like, why am I so cranky? Again, I totally relate. So let's look at where you can take these like little 2 minutes, 2 minute breaks. Tell me that you don't have 2 minutes to feel happy and grounded and helpful and all the things, like be a nicer human to be around. 2 minutes. Okay. So, like, realistically, can you give me 2 minutes, two or
Yeah,
three
of
times a
course.
day? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, well, shouldn't I do something more? Are you going to do something more? That's the
Okay.
question. So start with start with 2 minutes 3 times a day. Okay. And I know it's probably people are always sort of like, really? Is that going to be enough? The key is dripping it, weaving it, placing it throughout the day so that you stay here, right? So you stay here in this middle lane. So you don't get here and you're like, why? I ate everything, right? And as women, we know we have cycles, and as we get closer to our period, it's typically that what happens. And we don't also get up here where we're wound up so freaking tight that we're going to lose it if anybody says something nice or nasty to us. So
Yeah. It
just
can
how
go
can
either
we
way.
totally, right? It's like that was the nicest thing ever. It happens. So look at that realistically and look at your schedule. So every day, look at your schedule, because it varies, right? And you have kids, so you're like, we got like soccer and dance and like all the everything. So look at your schedule and look at where can you block 2 minutes, and if you're feeling generous, 5 minutes 3 times a day, right? And so that's when you can do your meditation. That's when you can do your empowering body stance or whatever, shake out some tension, whatever you need in that moment. So here's what we do. When the alarm goes off, and I do recommend setting alarms, and ideally not startling sounds because it's kind of productive to you relaxing your nervous system. So
I have not thought of that, but that makes total sense. Like you just go, well, and then, oh, I'm
yeah,
gonna calm down now. But you're
right,
up
yeah.
higher anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
so
tip. Yeah.
depending. Exactly. Yeah. So one of the students in the power pause movement brought that to my attention because she's like, every time the alarm goes off, I freak out. And then I have to spend the whole time of the power pause trying to calm myself down. And I'm like, brilliant. So we so make sure it's like one of those sweet little like, twinkly fairy light one kind of alarms. Or whatever you like, right? Like
Yeah.
oceans, blah blah blah. So when the alarm goes off, we check in with ourselves. We bring our hands onto our body. Chances are you're sitting slouched over the keyboard looking like some kind of croissant. So move yourself into a more open posture and check in with your body. Place your hands on your body. And we can even do this now. So as long as you're not driving, if you're driving, one hand on the wheel, one hand on your body. If you're whatever you're doing, just if you can, let yourself really ground down. So ground down into your seat, your feet, and just feel the ground underneath you. Only if it's safe to do so, you can close your eyes. Okay, so feel the ground underneath you and feel, and maybe it's your chair, feel it supporting you. Feel it underneath you and really settle into that. And then breathing through your nose and feel how you're feeling right now. Notice how you're feeling right now. Ask yourself, how are you feeling? And ask it as how you are feeling. How are you feeling? We ask everybody all day how they're doing. This is a beautiful opportunity to tend and to attend to yourself. So now, as we breathe in through our nose as deeply and slowly as you can, breathe out, but start the breath really low down in your belly. Your place of power is deep in your pelvis, deep, deep, deep in the basin of the pelvis. So begin to breathe out from there, drawing the belly in and up. And as you feel your belly pulling in and up, can you feel your whole spine lengthening? Be gentle. And then inhale, filling yourself up. Inhale through the nose and then exhale from deep in the belly. And as you breathe out and you pull your belly in, and if you're familiar with muscles of the pelvic floor, you can lift them a little bit. And as you breathe out, keep drawing up and feel yourself rising taller, lengthening up like your head is a balloon and floating it up. And then keep breathing. As you exhale from the belly, soft shoulders, soft jaw. And then stay here in this moment, in this breath. And as you breathe out, I want you to feel your way into where you feel really powerful in your body. Where do you feel very present in your body right now? Maybe it's where you're touching the chair. Maybe it's some part of you in your torso. Maybe it is deep in your pelvis or your legs or your feet. And just be there. Rest there in that place of power within yourself. Keep breathing. So we started by asking ourselves how we're feeling. We connect to our breath. We connect to this place of power within ourselves. And from this place of power within yourself, before we come back together, ask this wisdom of the present moment, the wisdom of your soul, your higher self, whatever you align with. Ask that you, who and how you want to go back into the day as. Who and how you want to go back into the day as. Which version of you? The happy, the energized, the connected, the powerful. Which version of you are you going to emerge from this power pause as? Be that version of you now. Activate that energy within yourself now. Let that version of you begin to expand within you. And take one more breath. Stay connected to it. Stay connected to this open posture, strongly supported from the deep core muscles, open and tall, heart is lifted, face is smiling and relaxed. Connect to that energy now. Connect to this elevated emotional state and way of being within yourself now. And then when you're ready, open your eyes.
That was amazing, Megan. Thank you.
You're welcome. How do you feel?
Yeah, yeah, different. I I was not grounded at all, but I didn't realize it. I was like the croissant you just mentioned. Just I, my feet weren't on the ground. I was sitting like this. So when you started out, even by putting your hands here, automatically you open up and then you like your feet on the ground. And I was like, oh yes, I'm here. Like I'm here, and and then I thought, okay, so I'm good. And then you make me like exhale from my belly. And I almost had to laugh because I felt my back just sort of clicking into place and going, oh, I grew an inch taller. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really good.
Right. Powerful, yeah? Powerful. That's why we call it a power pause. And what you did there,
Yeah.
like, you did such big changes there. When you activate your core and you're supporting your spine, anywhere that you're gripping and holding that doesn't necessarily need to be gets released, right? You felt a natural adjustment in your spine without kind of
Yep.
wrenching, which so many of us do. And so what we're doing there is really accessing that version of ourself, calibrating ourselves to the vibe of our vision of who we want to be, how we want to feel, right? And because you are deciding that now, you're aligning to that. And that's so much of Dr. Joe's work. But really, what we're doing here is coming back to that, because it's all well and good for us to do that in the morning time and maybe at night. And if we spend the rest of the day like, spun out and frantic and frazzled and in the chaos, then we're not aligned to the vision throughout the bulk of our day. And so when we drop into that energy, take these power pauses, that's truly is nervous system care, which is the deepest level of self-care. And of course, all the other stuff is very important, but ultimately we're doing all that other stuff to take care of our nervous system. So if we can calibrate our nervous system to that energy and that intentionality and the presence throughout the day, that's really the best way to start. All the other stuff is important, right? You want to do cardio work to strengthen your heart and to feel strong and sexy and all those beautiful things when you do your strength training, all of that stuff, yoga, flexibility, it's all important, right? And we can layer that on, but this is
But
foundational. And you'll
this is
find
just
that,
the base of it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's perfect. Yeah. As you say, you're gonna layer it on. What I'm also really interested in is that you emphasize the importance of starting the day energized and confident. And
mhm.
do you have practical morning routine tips, especially for female entrepreneurs?
Yes, for sure. That's a great question. So, to amplify your morning routine, I have my little acronym for it. So, amplify your morning. So, the first one is to align your mind. Actually, back up. So, whatever amount of time you have, so you get to decide that, right? So say you're going to give yourself 15 minutes. Okay, so 15 minutes
Yeah.
usually pretty doable. So 15 minutes, because otherwise we get in this story of like, yeah, but it's going to take all day, and then I'm going to 15 minutes. Okay, so make the decision. 15 minutes, and you can break these sections up into whatever length of time you want. But I would suggest that we always start by aligning your mind. So that means is align your mind with your vision, right? What you see for yourself for the day, what you want to make happen, the version of you that you're being in the vision, like all of that beautiful energetics. And so that can be done with prayer, meditation, journaling, tapping, chanting, whatever, journaling, maybe said that. Align your mind to get into the vibe of your vision, right? That's really what we're talking about here, is to get into that energy, to get into that frequency of the future that you're co-creating through your beautiful energy. So A is align your mind. Okay. And then so amplify your morning. M is move your body, because you're not a rock or a tree, right? And so once you know the vibe of the vision, the energy that you want to bring into the day. So say today, I want to be connected to myself and I want to walk into the day feeling completely powerful. So how can you make that your clear intention, right? We're just using Dr. Joe's beautiful teachings here. That's your clear intention for the day. You've activated that by aligning your mind to that. Now, how can you bring it alive in your body, right? How can you experience that? Because your nervous system is the true connection between mind and body. Mindset work
Yeah.
is not completely effective until we integrate the body, the soma, the nervous system. So how can we begin to move your body in a way that makes you feel that powerful, confident, whatever it is, your vibe that you want to do. So move your body. What does that mean? That means do whatever you feel good with. All right, put on some music, do a little yoga flow that you find online, or use something that you love, do some squats, do some dancing, whatever, but do it from that elevated emotional state, right? Use the energy of your clear intention. Do it feeling powerful. Do it feeling grounded, however you want to go into the day, right? Because what we're doing there is really intentionally making that choice to activate it in your body. And so we are aligning our mind, we're moving our body, and what we're doing there, so it's baked into all of this, is rewiring your system. Because what we're doing there is rewiring your nervous system. We're repatterning your neural pathways because you're choosing to focus on that. This is who you are. This is how you're showing up. So that's a 15-minute window, right? You could do 5 minutes of aligning your mind, meditation, whatever. You could do, if you stick with that, you have 10 more minutes, 10 minutes of moving your body, doing different exercises, standing in that strong, powerful, confident posture, whatever, so that you're really using those three core pillars and you're giving yourself some well-deserved love and attention. So that's how I help people and where we start.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Do you recommend that people do this, like that they have the same routine each day? Or, for example, like one day I would journal and I want to go into the day as a nurturing person. So I would go with a yoga flow. And then the other day I would start with a meditation and I want to go into the day very powerful. So I do jumping jacks. So name stuff. Does it have to be the same every day, or could you sort of fluctuate with what you're going for?
1,000%. It's yours. It's yours, right? You get to do whatever you want.
Oh, thank
And
you.
that's the beautiful thing. Yeah, of course, right? And that's the thing, especially as women and as entrepreneurs, there's going to be different seasons of different vibes that you want to be in. Maybe today's a content day. I want to be connected. I want to be intuitive. I want to be in the flow. Or maybe it's like, I'm going to go on 5 podcasts today. So I want to be articulate and well spoken. And so you get to decide what serves you best, right? And so it's more of a menu that you get to choose from of the things that you know that you like, rather than a hard and fast prescription, which never works
Yeah.
out, especially because, well, I shouldn't say that. It often doesn't work out.
Exceptions to the rule,
Never
of
say
course,
never.
but usually, yeah.
Yeah, we need the variety, and we have different needs over the time of the month and where we at in our business cycles and all of that. And so it's more of an intuitive connection, and it's really that it's cultivating the relationship with yourself. It's a beautiful form of self-awareness and practice. It's, what do I need to? I'm tired today. I'm not going to do a workout today. I'm going to do some breath work today. And so but it's that decision to show up for yourself first, fuel yourself first, get into alignment with your vision, get into the vibe, all the beautiful things, so that you can show up that way. Otherwise, we tend to just operate on autopilot and everything happens by default. This is
Yeah.
intentional co-creation of your day and your life.
And then so for moms, I think you would recommend that they do this before like the whole show gets on the road. Because for example, for me, very often I get awakened by my kid banging the door open and just telling me something random because that's what they do. They wake up with like going a million miles per hour immediately. And you just wake up, go, oh, what's going on right now? So if I were to let that happen, like I would be already run by the day before it even gets started. So you would recommend setting the alarm like 15, maybe 20 minutes earlier?
Yes, yeah. I think that, again, it's what works for you and what's doable. And that you're able to continuously do, or a few days of the week, right? It doesn't have to, I mean, our goal is to do it every day, but if that doesn't feel realistic, then a few times a week based on the family schedule, that's great. Or if it's every day and it's 5 minutes, that's amazing, right? It's amazing. It's about that consistency. So yeah, a lot of moms find that doing it before the little ones wake up is the best way to do it first, get it done, right? That's one of my mantras, although it's very hardwired into the overworking mentality. So I'm trying to work on it, but do it first, right? And make sure that you're taken care of, I guess is a better way to say that. Or you may find that it's easier to do once everyone's, buckled in and they're at school and they're fed and all the things. It really is, again, it's what's going to work best for you long term.
Yeah. And it's a weirdly difficult decision to make because on the one hand, it would be very nice to be able to do this before I get woken up by the kids, because then I sort of get sucked back into my former self quite easily. And then I could do it
Mm,
after I bring them to school, but then you'd have to make a whole lot of extra effort to get back to sort of like a neutral if you're already there, because the morning routine is a stressful period in itself. But then again,
mm.
getting up earlier is also like, it's not stressful per se, but maybe a little bit. And yeah, it's as I said, it's a weirdly difficult decision on when to do this.
No, you bring up some good points there, and that's maybe testing, right? Again, something we hear a lot. You got to test. You
Of course.
got to test.
I'll run an A/B test this weekend. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and maybe as well it would depend on several things. Like in the
Mm,
summertime, obviously, it's for me. I don't know what it's like in Hawaii, like when the sun is rising, but here in France, it's pretty and dark in the morning right now, and getting up
mhm.
earlier just doesn't feel good. Well, in the summer, I'll step out of bed whistling at 6 o'clock in the morning because I'm like, oh, it's light outside. Let's do this. So maybe that's also like not just a monthly, but also a yearly cycle, and see where it brings us.
That's a great point. Yeah, I like to jump out of bed whistling. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great point. And the thing is too, one thing that I got a lot of pushback on because people are like, "Yeah, but I don't like mornings. Don't make me do it in the morning." Okay, fine. Don't do it in the morning. Do it at 10 o'clock. Do it whenever. It's more about the doing it, and it might be an evening routine. It's just because of what we're talking about here, of the energetics of how we're feeling and how we're showing up. It's nice to set the tone and the intention of the day. And like you said, if you kind of get catapulted into full steam ahead mode, it's a little more challenging to rewind and like reset. So just look at it, and again, it's like no rules, it's yours. You do whatever you want, but figure out where it's going to best support you and what you actually enjoy. Because again, it should be fun. It should feel like, yes, I love doing this. It shouldn't be like, yeah, I heard this podcast and everybody talks about morning routine. It's really about you and how you feel. And so that's where you just got to keep coming back to of like, is this actually serving me? Is this something that my body wants me to do? Or do I feel obligated and forced? Because then we're going to get a lot of pushback and resistance. So, yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I feel that. Last year, I was focusing a lot on lifting weights because all the podcasts were telling me like lifting weights is really great, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lift weights. And every time I went to do it, I had to do this mental struggle with my cheddar channel, just going, "Ugh," and then doing it half-assed because I didn't want to do it anyway. So this year,
mm,
my year's word is alignment. And so I decided, to hell with weightlifting, I want to dance. And I to be clear, I suck at dancing, but I enjoy it enormously. So I'm just doing like the 10-minute YouTube video dancing workouts, and I'm actually looking forward to it. So I think that you make a very good point with this morning routine as well. If it's not working for you at 6 in the morning, then move it over to the time that is working for you.
and two things. Yeah, we get to decide. We get to decide what is working best for us. And it doesn't have to be just because other people say it. It's more about what feels good to you. The other thing is, who says you suck at dancing? The Chatter Channel? Or did somebody tell you that? So I just wanted to present that to you lovingly. The most important thing is that you are in joy. The most important
Yeah.
thing is you're doing something that feels good to you. And I say that with love because, we all have things that we quote unquote suck at. And it's like, where did that come from? Was it your grade 3 teacher who told you should never dance again because you suck? Like that, it's awful. We internalize all that stuff. And then we're like, who cares? You're having fun. That's like joy. When joy radiates out of you, when fun radiates out of you. And as adults, we tend to not prioritize fun and joy, and actually limits our creativity, decreases our immune function, it increases the aging process. Like, joy is very medicinal. It's very helpful, and it's very radiant, and it's very magnetic. So the truth is, when you are dancing and you are in joy, tell your chatter channel to just zip it, because
Yeah. I named her my Cheddar channel. Her name is Annalise, and she sucks basically because
oh,
as you said in the beginning, like Cheddar channels often are very like nagging, and so I called her Annalise. Sorry if you know anyone who's named Annalise. And it's very easy to give her a name because then when thoughts like that pop up, like, oh, I suck at dancing, you just go, no, Annalise, you shut up. I'm enjoying myself over here. Bye. And it's so much easier to separate yourself from the Cheddar channel like that when you give her a name and you just go, you need to shut up. I wanted to have one last question for you, if that's all right
sure.
with you, which is business wise. Did you ever have one of those really awesome like aha moments where you thought, oh my God, yes, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is yes.
Yes, absolutely. For me, it's in growing the Power Pause movement, which is now global. So, helping people around the world, including in France, to learn how to really shift their inner state. And that to me is like, I might want to cry a little bit because it makes me so happy, but it makes me so happy and it makes me emotional at the same time. And so it's like, oh, this is so good because I know how powerful they are. You got to experience that, and hopefully your listeners did too
Yeah.
and played along with us. For me, that's been like, and this is, and I've been doing this for like 20 years. This happened in the last no, I don't know. I'm not good at math, 6 months. And so that to me is like, just keep going, right? That's what it indicates to me, is keep going. I know sometimes it can be really frustrating and you're like, why am I doing this testing? Ah! And it's a lot. It's a lot. But I finally gotten to this point where I'm listening to my coaches, and and of being able to feel really satisfied and fulfilled, and I'm staying in the trust, and I'm staying in that flow state. And so it's happening, and I can feel it, because that's it. Like you said, you can do all the strategies in the world, but if your mind is not on board, and if you're on the chatter channel and you're not in the wisdom of the heart, it's going to be real damn hard. And so now I'm in the wisdom, and I'm really having those moments now, so I'm grateful.
That's lovely. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up for today. I hope the storm isn't going to do any damage over there. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Yes, come over to giftfrommegan.com. Giftfrommegan.com, and it's Megan. And I have a Power Pause pocket guide. I love alliterations. So, Power Pause pocket guide. And so it's what we did here so that you can learn how to do that on your own, in your flow, on your schedule, time zone independent, whatever. And so that one is a really great resource for you to have, so that you can come back to calm and you can stay in this steady state all day long. So that's a great place to connect with me, giftfrommegan.com. And then that way we'll be connected, and I'll send you all my podcast stuff and all the things. But yeah, that's a great start.
Perfect. It sounds like an awesome start. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. I hope you loved what you heard today. And if you did, it would mean a world to me if you could leave a review. Because believe it or not, reviews on podcasts are actually still used to make sure more people get to see this podcast in their screens and maybe click on it and learn something as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.